Hello, I'm Laura McNerney. I teach 4th grade math and science at Sand Hill Elementary School in Carroll County. I'm also raising my 2 children, and I'm looking forward to getting through with my specialist degree.
Hey, I'm Alyssa Mitchell. I teach 1st grade at Anna K. Davey Elementary School in Rome, Georgia. My husband and I have 2 children and a mini farm where we have cats and dogs, horses, fish, and turtles.
I'm Karen Phillips. I teach 1st grade at Kemp Elementary in Cobb County. I have 2 children. My daughter is Victoria. She moved to Virginia, which I'm sad about, but she's about to have my first grandchild. Her name is going to be Vivian. I'm really excited. That's going to happen in about 2 months. I'm so excited. And then my son, Kyle, is attending Kennesaw State University, and he is in the accounting program at the Coles Business College. So we created a workshop based on our research. Our research questions were, will an alternative approach to mathematical homework in which the teacher incorporates spiraling homework and guided math groups result in a comparative academic growth among students who do not complete traditionally assigned homework and students who do? Our second question we focused on was what factors contribute to students not turning in their math homework. Well, we're hoping that the workshop will show you how to incorporate the spiraling lessons into the math homework or into your guided math. We were focusing on our audience would be elementary math teachers at the NCTM conference, the National Conference
For Teachers of Mathematics.
Right, or professional development at any school where any elementary school teacher uses guided math.
Or doesn't use guided math. They might
Want
introduce
to
it.
start picking it up.
Right, so we're hoping that that's what will happen with these.
We looked at the benefits of math homework, and we saw that students that completed their homework had higher math success. Students that worked on their homework scored higher on their classroom tests compared to those who did not. We also saw that if we gave some guidance before or after school, that students did better on overall as well. We also saw that if we had differentiated homework, that their achievement increased as well. During this part of our workshop, we thought we would have the teachers discuss different excuses that they've received about why their students did not have the homework, and the funniest excuse would receive a treat. Some of the excuses that we would find would be parental support. There was no time for homework. The students would have too much activities after school, like baseball, football, cheerleading, dance, or the teachers were giving too much homework overall. We also saw that some of the students were cheating on their homework or just getting answers. Maybe their parents were even doing the homework for them. We also saw that some of the students were hiding their homework or not telling their parents that they had homework, so the parents were not even aware. You see the little boy in the bottom of the screen down there? He is obviously overloaded with his homework, and he's now tired, and there's 2 little pictures there for y'all to read.
And a lot of times with homework overload, teachers can coordinate. If a science teacher knows they're giving a big project and maybe the math teacher won't schedule the unit test that week, there are ways to get around that homework overload.
I know at our school we are only allowed to give 10 minutes of homework no matter what, so that's another way of fixing that.
There are things that teachers can do to ensure that students learn those concepts taught or reviewed during math homework time. Giving students options or choices certainly increases student completion. If students are able to choose what they would like to do or how they might like to show what they know, then they take ownership in what they're doing and there's more student engagement. Homework hotlines are good when students are absent or when they've forgotten their homework at school or simply not told their parents. Parents can use the homework hotline if they're not sure about what the homework is asking, or if they're not sure if there is homework or if it's due. Some of the easy ways to get in touch with parents, or for parents to get in touch with teachers, is using Class Dojo or Remind 101.
That's a good one.
Right. An old school way is to simply use agendas if your school is lucky enough to have them. Parents sign them nightly. You train your students early in the year, and one way to do it is to tell your students that they're actually training their parents, and so that kind of is an assignment for them that they enjoy, training their parents to sign their agenda at night. And that way parents know that there's homework and they know when it's due, and if they have a question, the teacher will see the agenda in the morning. A homework check-in system that is supported by incentives will often ensure that students complete their homework and turn it in. The incentives can be something cheap and simple, maybe even just 5 minutes extra recess on Fridays for those who've turned their homework in. Organizational tools such as folders or binders can help students who might turn their homework if they could turn their homework in, if they could keep from losing it. It might just be lack of organizational skills that keeps the children from turning their homework in. These are all great ideas, but ultimately they are out of the teacher's control. We do what we can for our students from 7 to 3. One thing that we can do is to try an alternative approach to traditionally assigned homework, and that is teaching that spiraling homework during some guided math groups. So what is spiraling homework? Well, as you can see, it's a set of questions from previously taught material. The materials that are taught are never completely taught. They're never finished, I should say. The teacher continuously revisits those prior skills. What happens is when you teach a lesson the first time, some of the class will get it, some will almost get it, and some won't. Teaching spiral homework in a spiral style of teaching allows those students who maybe didn't quite get it the first time to get it the second time or the third time. The material on the spiraling homework ranges from early materials in the year all the way up to current materials. An example of spiraling math homework is given on this page. It's for 4th grade students. You can see that it ranges from number sense and rounding up to multiplying larger numbers. A lot of these topics are very complicated for students, and if it's done in a spiraling homework fashion, students who don't get it the first time, they'll eventually get it.
So you might be asking yourself, what are guided math groups? So at this point in the workshop, I would stop and ask the teachers to use their fingers and display how much they already know about guided math groups. So I would have them hold up one finger if they were a novice or didn't know anything about it, never heard of it. I would have them hold up two fingers if they kind of used it or had heard something about it, and I would have them hold up 3 if they were an expert or used it every day and really knew how to do it. Those are your teachers that you could use to teach the others. Hopefully you have one at each table. That would be an awesome way to do it. So the teachers would have sticky notes on their tables, and I would ask them to write what guided math groups are to them, what they mean, what they think their kids are doing, what the teacher's doing, what activities are going on, and have the teachers discuss this at their table groups. Now, if you have 3s at different tables, that will really help your 1s and 2s.
It's a lot like students. You find that often students will learn from one another. If a child says exactly what you said,
Cooperative groups.
then the other children will learn it when they didn't learn it from you. It's the same for teachers.
That's
we
true.
get together and we learn from one another.
Yeah, that's where we learn most of our things. So, what are guided math groups? Guided math groups are a method in which teachers assess students and they group them according to their proficiency level. It's an opportunity where the teachers can observe student work and they can provide strong support for struggling students. This is a great time where you can also find out about your extended learners, your learners who already know the material and they're high. You need to go ahead and start giving them more work, and you could even preview the next units with them, get them going. It's similar to guided reading groups in that the children can go fluidly in and out. You pre-test, you group them from their weaknesses or strengths. It lasts approximately 15 to 20 minutes of instruction in the small group. This is where Lara did the strategies for us during the research with
Right.
the spiraling homework, and that's where she incorporated the spiraling homework is during that time period. Students not with the teacher are engaged in independent stations for practice. It allows students to be rotated or moved by lesson or unit. Students are engaged at all times, and the concepts are reinforced at each station. You can make sure that each station already has a prior unit or concept that you've taught. That way the students feel confident and they won't come asking and interrupting your groups. That way you have it going pretty well.
Conducting guided math groups begins with choosing the math unit and pre-testing the students. As you assess and look over and analyze the pre-test, you'll find that some students have a vast prior knowledge, while some have some and others have very little. Those students will be put into groups of 6 or less students. You'll plan your lessons for each group, incorporating the spiraling homework into those stations. The students get to choose stations. This is a big part of guided math groups or guided math menu groups, is that they get to choose. And because they can choose, they take ownership in those activities.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching the routines for the stations, it's very, very important from the very beginning of the year. When you do your first math groups, it really should be something very basic, and all you're focusing on is teaching those routines. The first few times that you teach using the math groups, it will be frustrating for everyone. But after the second or third time, then it will run easily and smoothly, and you'll find that your students enjoy it and that they learn a great deal. You'll teach your groups in rotations. The groups will actually rotate to you. You will not be getting up and moving around. You are observing and assessing students on the fly in different ways, formative, summative. You'll regroup students when you start new units. It's interesting using math groups to see your students who can shine, and maybe they struggled with number sense, but they have a real good feel for, say, geometry. So students can be in a higher group of different units or a lower group, and they really look for that growth as they move through the year using guided math groups. In our research findings for incorporating spiraling lessons into guided math groups, we did find that there was a small decrease in the difference between the control group and the treatment group's scores. The main reasons that we found that students do not do their homework is, well, because they have a lack of time. Also, there are technology issues, such as not having Wi-Fi at home. A lot of times we take that for granted, but many of our students don't have access to the internet. There can be a lack of homework guidance at home. Maybe the parents are working, or maybe they simply don't understand the topics being taught. Students began to look forward to the guided math group interaction with the teacher. They started attempting the spiraling homework questions before they got to small group. They felt positive. They felt hopeful. Their confidence confidence grew. We do recommend that this strategy be implemented for a longer period of time. We do feel that students benefited as they grew in confidence, and we feel like we use this practice next year, starting earlier in the year.
Right. I think it would be good if we also could try with different grade levels, if
Yes.
maybe a 5th grade level teacher would try it, or even if we could get teachers at different schools to try it. I think that would be a nice idea. Now, we also included our table 1 here of the comparison of the test scores. The students were tested on the STAR test in January because we had to obtain an IRB
Right.
to get started. And the control group are the students who did their homework. Those students scored, the mean score was 5th grade, almost the 3rd month of school. The treatments group, which are those who consistently never did homework, were 4th grade halfway through the school year, and the difference is about 3/4 of the school year right there. So then we did our experiment, Lara. watched
Met with
and
the kids and implemented the treatment.
right, and that in March there was a post test given on the STAR test, and here's the results for that. You can see that the control group scored. They did well. It was 5th grade, about 7th month, which is where they were supposed to be, and then the treatment group, I thought they made a pretty good jump, which was 5th grade, almost like the 2nd month of school, which was a big jump for them. But we also had to take into account the maturation
Right.
of the school year, what they've already been taught, and so we're not sure that this was actually effective. We know it wasn't considered effective according to the numbers. So it wasn't really effective, but it was a hopeful strategy. We feel like if you start at the beginning of the year, it will probably yield better
Right.
results. So that's why we thought there should be more.
And as far as effectiveness, I felt like if you're talking about the way that it affected the children, they certainly wanted to work harder for me and make me happy as their teacher because they could see that I was interested in them. So in that way, I felt like it was effective.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it had more of a qualitative effect
Right. Yes.
than a quantitative. But we're not sure about that part exactly.
Right.
So that's why we recommend more studies.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so thank you for attending our workshop. We really appreciate it. We hope maybe you too will want to incorporate spiraling homework into your guided math groups. And if you don't do them, maybe you will.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good luck next year.